Hello, other members of the Rainy Day Writing Guild and people of the internet. So this week I'm not going to be playing The Sims. I'm actually going to be crocheting. We're going to make a unicorn coffee cozy. I'm probably going to end up like speeding through the video because it'll probably take me a while, or I just won't record the whole thing. I'll just record certain points of it. We'll see how this ends up going. But I wanted to record my shout outs first, which I write them down so I don't forget them because I'm forgetful, so that's why I'm staring off screen. So Joy, it was really cool to see what your actual work day looks like, all the things you do, and you know, your fun little like focus sessions, and it's also cool to see what you've been doing with your Whole30 and how that's been going for you. Jake, just so you know, you totally stole my title. I was like thinking to myself earlier, and I was like, oh man, I should put something like, oh, not gaming with the writer this week, because I've been doing that the rest of the month, but we'll do something different. Sorry, I found a crochet hook stored inside one of my yarns. It's bad, you shouldn't do that because then it pulls on your yarn and stuff, but I do it all the time. Anyway, I had actually completely forgotten about the knit cages in your office. Like, I knew Joy had them in some other places, but it was cool to see them all in there. Lydia, you have just this knack for visual storytelling, and it was really cool to see all the places in LA that you've gone to and what some of those places mean to you. And I mean, all that food, it just made me so hungry. It looked so good. And Devin, I feel like every time I watch one of your videos, I leave with a couple of books to add to my to-be-read list, which is not a bad thing. I need to read more books, especially more about like writing and things like that. So that's been cool to see. So shout outs are done. Let's get into crocheting. We're supposed to, is this even? This is not the hook that I'm going to be using. I don't like wooden hooks anyway. We're just going to throw that one off to the side. Where did mine go? Aha, it's in my lap. So this one calls for a G hook, which it says check your gauge. I don't think I've ever knit or crocheted anything where I checked my gauge ahead of time. And it turns out fine. You can normally tell within the first row or two of doing something if it's going to be totally just wrong. And your first row anyway is kind of weird because the way the foundation chain is almost always tighter than the rest of your work, especially when you're new at crocheting or knitting or things like that. But other tools, got little scissors. These are all my other hooks and things like that. Little yarn needles. I don't use those a ton. This is a cabling needle. I don't know what this doodade's for. I guess it's a stitch holder. This is a paper clip that I bent that I use as a cable needle. It's another crochet hook that I don't use. I got these ergonomic ones because I crocheted so much in high school. I actually gave myself some kind of like repetitive strain injury. It's not quite carpal tunnel, but it's something. And then I have more miscellaneous tools. This is where the big hooks go. I got some stitch markers, a binder clip I use for when I'm using double pointed needles because I'm always afraid my work is going to fall off. I got measuring tape. I don't have enough hands. A stitch counter, row counter that I don't ever actually use, but for some reason I'm obsessed with having. And I got this handy dandy little, oh, if I can get it out. Handy dandy little gauge checker, which I'll check my gauge on projects as I'm going along, like the sweater that I'm knitting. When I get to the point where I'm deciding when I'm gonna go from knitting just this part to knitting the sleeves, I need to know how far along I am. So I'll check my gauge at that point. But I don't really knit the 2x2 swatch and see too much work. And also you can check the size if you're knitting needles or crochet hooks, and it's just, you know, regular centimeter inches ruler as well. I love this little dude. It's a little broken, but I love it. And then we'll just toss all that aside. So, and then these two yarns, this is a Red Heart Super Saver in Aran Fleck, Aran Fleck, I don't know words. And then this is a Caron Simply Soft. I'm pretty sure it's just red. But they're the same weight, so they should go together pretty well. The pattern calls, I almost said recipe. The pattern calls for worsted weight yarn, and these are both worsted weight, but the pattern she used was 100% cotton. These are both I think 100% acrylic. 96% acrylic, 4% other fibers. Whatever that means. So it might be a little different. I'm actually knitting a unicorn coffee cozy. Can't remember if I said that already. So we shall see if this works out. But basically I'm going to knit it, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, we'll find out. So since I'm already 5.5 minutes in, I think I'm just going to go ahead and start and then put up some quick pictures of me when I get to, I guess, interesting points in doing it. So I'll see you guys with that.